Well, it's 12 o'clock, and I am going to open it up. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first, what I'm going to call Tuesdays with NAMI, Lunch and Learn webinar featuring Mary Gubby Lee to discuss seasonal depression and anxiety in 2022. My name is Warren Boykin, and I'm the new Program and Outreach Coordinator for NAMI Northern Illinois. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our organization, we are an affiliate of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is the nation's largest grassroots organization dedicated to improving the lives of individuals and families living with mental illness. Before we begin, I wanted to share a few updates. Our organization sponsors several support groups. The NAMI Connection is our weekly support group for adults living with mental illness, and that meets every Sunday from 2 to 3:30 p.m., both in person and on Zoom. And we also have Group Hope. There's a team version which meets every first and third Tuesday, and Adult Group Hope, which meets every Wednesday and Friday. www.naminorthernillinois.org for the times and locations. Also coming up in the first Tuesday in December is our family support group. Another exciting announcement is an art exhibit called Self-Love the Gallery, which is at the Landscape Connection, which is Road. That's going to be going on through December 6th, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And finally, we have community education programs. There is opioid overdose prevention and naloxone training, November the 28th. That's at 5:15 at Stepping Stones Counseling Center, 4317 Mare Drive. And next week, Tuesday at this same time, we're going to have an introduction to the Certified Recovery Support Specialist Training Program over Zoom. So we'll want you to tune in for that. And December 13th at 5:30 is our annual Gifts of Hope potluck, which will be happening at the original Stepping Stones headquarters location on North Main Street in Rockford. That's December 17th at 5:30 p.m. So on to our main event, the reason that you joined us this afternoon. I'd like to introduce you to Mary Gubby Lee. For people from Rockford, I think she needs no introduction. She formerly worked as a counselor and training coordinator at Janet Weddle Center, and is currently a training consultant working on her own and assistant director of the Illinois Center of Excellence in Behavioral Health and Justice, and is a proud member of our Stars of Light theater group. Well, I could go on and on talking about Mary's qualifications, but let Mary take over.
Well, thank you so much, Warren. The last full-time job I had was for the Center of Excellence, and now I'm pleased to work for myself as a training coordinator. But I think today I'm really representing NAMI because I've been a NAMI member since it started here in Northern Illinois. And I'm also part of their outreach team and a special outreach team called FaithNet. And that's how this this presentation actually got started, we got contacted by one of the local churches, a church in Roscoe, saying, hey, we really need some help for our parishioners. We need to talk about what goes on during these holidays and how people can help themselves and each other and their families as well. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. And of course, you know, for NAMI, we have our 4 basic goals: education, support, advocacy, and my most favorite one is, of course, instilling hope. So today we're going to talk about what seasonal depression and anxiety are, but also how to ward them off, and not just for ourselves, but for our families and friends as well. So let's talk about Thanksgiving first. It's right around the corner. We're talking just, less than 48 hours away. Many of us will have a wonderful dinner and celebration. And I'm wondering if you could all use the chat room right now and open that up and put in, what are some of the things that you really do enjoy about Thanksgiving? I'll give you just a couple minutes for that, and then Warren will help read those out. So go to the chat room and put in, what are your favorite things about Thanksgiving?
Also like to mention that if during the presentation anyone has any questions, you can click on the button that's Q&A, and I'll pass those questions on as well. All right, I have a participant who's raised her hand. Carol, if you have a question, Carol, could you please go to the Q&A box? You see there is a question here. Okay, there we have some responses under Q&A. We have from Donna, sharing food. From Amy. Oh, I see. She said the chat is disabled. Let me see if I can. This is my first time doing a webinar, so use the Q&A button and you can put your responses in. I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Sue says being with family. And let's see if I can work on the chat so people can use that more easily. Okay. Well, for right now, if you would please use the Q&A button instead of chat.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and with what I wanted to present are some long things of lists I have of what are some of my favorite things about Thanksgiving. Obviously, okay. Wowza, this is how many of our homes are going to look in the next couple of days. And even if you don't celebrate on the actual days, a lot of people have things going throughout the weekend. So I think this has most of the food choices on here. So it is a meal for sure. And I know some of you mentioned, yes, you're looking forward to that food. So food is probably pretty much at the top of the list, but there's a lot of other fun things that we like. Some people just love to bake. Some like the shopping for food. Some people like decorating for Thanksgiving or even start their Christmas decorations. A lot of people are traveling. As you know, you probably heard on the news that this week is the biggest travel time in our country. So it's actually more popular to travel, especially by airfare and by buses, public transportation, than it is in the summer for vacations or even at Christmas time. So this is a heavy duty traveling time for people. Of course, there's always a big football game on that day, but throughout the weekend as well. And we all love those parades, correct? So if there's something else that I didn't mention, please put it up there either in the chat room or in Q&A. It'd be great. Now, if we look at Thanksgiving for fun, what are some of the things that are the stressors for Thanksgiving? Well, guess what? I put those same things right back up there because the food could be a stressor. It's really hard for many of us who are trying to watch our weight or eat healthy when we're getting everything tossed at us here, right and left. Some of us don't like to bake or don't enjoy that at all. Or if we do bake, again, we might be concerned about our weight. Shopping could be stressful. As you've seen, the price of food has just gone up exponentially. They're saying like turkeys are costing like 2 to 3 times what they did last year, for example. You could be stressed out doing decorating or traveling is very, very rough as well. But money's here on one because things are very expensive. And especially since this is a big meal type holiday and the food prices have gone up so high. Alcohol can be a stressor. Many folks have alcohol at their meals or have alcohol to celebrate. And there are also several people who are trying to avoid alcohol and other drugs. And relatives, as much as we love them, they could be a stressor as well. Somebody could be in a horribly bad mood or disagreeing. And of course, this holiday pretty much has just followed a major election. So people get in discussing politics. That's a big stressor, especially at Thanksgiving time. And of course, you've got to clean your house. That's heavy duty work. And now there's a stressor still with COVID. It hasn't gone away. I just saw on the news last night that Winnebago County right now is the county in Illinois with the highest rates of COVID. So that sounds pretty scary. And what about the people who don't have any place to go or anything to do or family to spend time with? They're lonely. And what if there's been a loss in the last year, especially since the last Thanksgiving? Loss of a job, loss of a loved one, loss of a pet. And some people have not very good memories about Thanksgiving. It could have been a traumatic event for them, or maybe they suffered a trauma within the last year. So just the memories of that trauma and being traumatized are really, really high stressors at the Thanksgiving holiday. Let's try that Q&A out again and see what we can come up with. Because right after Thanksgiving, just a few weeks down the road, is Christmas. What are some of the things you really do love and enjoy about Christmas? Let's see what people have to say about that. Looks like we've got a couple people joining in with that. Everybody's got to have some special thing they love or enjoy about Christmas.
Christmas music. Christmas music.
Christmas music. Yeah, Thanksgiving isn't necessarily a big musical time, but Christmas sure is.
Family.
Family.
The atmosphere and feeling of magic.
Yeah, they say it's the most wonderful time of the year, right? In all those songs.
All right. Making holiday cards and making scones for Christmas morning.
Wow.
Giving time as well as gifts. Decorating with my kiddo. From Aaron. Elba says decorating. Speaking of, I have monitors, so it's easy for me to see Mary and the presentation at the same time. You may be able to adjust the view by clicking the view button in your right-hand corner of your screen. There's a standard, there's side by side. There are different views that you can click, and it may allow you to see Mary at the same time. Here's another one. Another decorating and a Zoom call with her parents in the Northwest.
Oh, wow. So you can travel via Zoom. Well, let's take a look and see which were on my list of favorites and such. But first of all, when we think of Christmas, we often think of this, right? The gifts, the decorating, the tree. You could just hear the fireplace crackling. Just a beautiful scene at Christmas time. So what are the fun things? Well, food is great. Food, people have all different kinds of traditions with food, and that baking, whether it's scones or cookies. Definitely shopping, not only shopping for the food, so you can do the baking, but also the holiday shopping for family and friends and gift giving. Definitely decorating. Traveling is a big thing for Christmas as well. You did mention the music. There's lots of parties at Christmas. There are dinner parties and even NAMI has a party, right? Putting together their gifts of hope. The actual gifts and then cards. And I loved how somebody said they were even making their own cards, which is wonderful. But then if you look at what are the stressors, wow, those same things again went back onto this list, right? Food can be the same stressor as Thanksgiving. There's a lot of food going on. And what if you're trying to manage your weight or your health? Same thing with baking. That could be stressful as well. Shopping is stressful, especially getting out there, starting, with Black Friday and everybody just kind of going wild. And not knowing what to get people, for example. Money is certainly a big problem at Christmas. I'm not the best person to save money, so that's a big stressor for me. So I try to do my gift shopping throughout the year and do more of a gathering than a shopping, so I can spread it out a little bit. Alcohol is a big stressor at the holiday season. Again, relatives and politics could still stay in there, and we see a lot more traffic. And some of that traffic is due to the weather. It looks like we're going to have a bright, sunny, and beautiful Thanksgiving this week, but Christmas, you don't know what the weather is going to be like. You got to certainly clean house. Again, we've already talked about COVID as a stressor. And then what about those people who don't have any place to go or anything to do or don't celebrate the holidays? There's a horrible loneliness that goes on. And then people, again, are experiencing horrible loss and grief issues and have memories of trauma, and certain things can be triggering those feelings of trauma. So the next one right after Christmas, right, just a week later, is New Year's. So what do you folks like about New Year's Eve? If there's any celebrators out there, feel free to put something in the Q&A. Are there any revelers, as they call them, for New Year's Eve? I'm not seeing a lot of party people up there, Warren.
Well, we have another answer for the stressors for Christmas, though. Shopping for 5 sons who just shrug when you ask them what they want.
Yeah, so we feel like we have to shop, we have to buy something for people, but we don't always know what it is that they want or need. That is added stress for sure.
Okay, here's some celebrating with friends. Donna. And karaoke with the guys, shouting at midnight.
Okay, those all sound like pretty fun things, huh?
Oh, here's a couple more. Fresh beginnings.
Nice.
And here's a good one. Wanting to celebrate in a sober way, having something different planned, maybe a game night.
It's a great idea. And we're going to get into more ideas in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all think about that pop, fizz, fizz, right? For celebrating the new year, and sometimes even getting into, the champagne and the alcohol. So again, what's fun? There's always fancy dinners going on for New Year's Eve and for New Year's Day. And people have a lot of special recipes and such that they make only for the new year. There is shopping, oftentimes shopping for what am I going to wear if I go out to a fancy party? Decorating, there is music going on. And of course, like I said, the parties, the clothing, and the traveling. But then if you take a look at the next slide, which talks about the stressors, you're going to find those same things on that as well. Again, that food and that baking, and for people especially who are, trying to watch their weight or eat healthy, which goes hand in hand with, using alcohol. Traveling, a lot of times there's traveling going on, and sometimes people are traveling back to where they were on New Year's Day or the day after. Weather is always iffy, especially when you get into January. COVID is always a concern. And again, you could have some memories that would really trigger your feelings of loss or grief or being traumatized. So let's get into what can we do about all this then? Well, first of all, acknowledge your feelings, okay? You are what you feel, right? And so if somebody close to you has recently died or you can't be with loved ones, realize it's normal to feel sadness and grief. Sadness and grief are not bad. They're bad when it's something that we can't control. But yes, those are feelings. Those are valid feelings, and we should validate those feelings. So it's definitely okay to cry. Crying helps us physically just do a release, a feeling of relief. And just because it's the holidays, you can't force yourself to be happy. The other thing I really encourage people to do is to reach out. Again, if you feel lonely or isolated, I am sure there are other people, places, and things in the community that would love to have you interact and act with them. So there are places that you can go and people that you can see and things that you can do if you don't have family or friends, or you can't afford to have something at your own home. And it's good that you could talk to somebody, a family member or even a friend about your concerns. And that includes, reaching out to other people, whether it's through a text, a call, or a video chat. I like how somebody's going to have a Zoom for the holidays. One of the things that we could turn these negative frustrations and fears and anxieties into is volunteering. Use your time to help somebody else. It's such a good way to lift your own spirit, but it also helps you make friends. And one thing that you consider doing is, what about just dropping off a meal or a dessert at a friend's home? For example, I live in a neighborhood where it has lots of older people in there, and they're kind of afraid to go out when the weather's bad or really cold or snowy or icy. They love it if I simply drop by with something, whether it's a meal or just a dessert. So think about other people that you could help out and reach out to. Again, whether it's a family, a friend, or even a neighbor. We also have to be realistic, okay? My family was saying, gee, last Christmas was the best Christmas ever. Well, that's just going to put more pressure on me because I'm having Christmas this year. So they don't have to be perfect. Something's always going to be a little bit different. Plus, our families change. We add on people, we lose people. So that means that the rituals are going to change as well in those family traditions. So we have to be open to the change. And whether you had a marriage in the family or a death in the family, things are going to change. It's so important to keep the new members of the family involved, but also make them feel like they are a part of things. Maybe they could share a tradition with you and your family. So we need to really hold on to some of our traditions. They're important, right? That's part of being human, but we also have to be very open to creating new ones as well. And this is a real toughie. Set aside our differences, okay? We might have had some talking during the election about who to vote for or who won or who did not win, for an example, or maybe we just, had a tiff with somebody. But we have to learn to accept our family and friends just as they are and not try to change people. And at least for the holidays, at least for that time, try to set aside any grievances you have with other people. And if they are the ones who are getting upset or distressed or depressed, just try to be very understanding and reach out to them and, again, accept it. Here's a big one. Stick to a budget, because holidays are so expensive. And you saw that money listed on all my list of stressors is a big deal, because it's money for food, it's money for transportation, it's money for clothing, it's money for gifts. There's all kinds of things that money just seems to be flying out one. So you have to come up with, what can you really afford? Because you certainly don't want to have on the other side of the holidays a big, huge debt. And when you think about your budget, try to budget in some money to donate to charity. That might be one of the best gifts to give to other people, is to donate to a charity in someone else's name. If you don't have lots of money, maybe make a homemade gift. And that homemade gift could be something to eat, or it could be a craft item or an arts item, or start a family gift exchange. One of the things we do in our family is draw names. So everybody has one person and only one person to buy for. And then there's a real fun thing that we do with the Stars of Light every Christmas, that we have a white elephant. So I'm thinking that most of you probably have something in your house that you don't like, you don't need, you don't want. You might even be a little embarrassed to own it and you want to get rid of it. So wrap it up. And we have a great white elephant where people can each take turns drawing the white elephant. And they all get numbers. So number one draws their white elephant first, and number two draws theirs. And if they like what number one has, they can take it away. And it turns out to be a whole entertaining thing. But people really feel like they have the gift of giving and make it into a fun thing as well. I know one thing that was really shocking with my family when I got married was we had to buy for all the nieces and nephews and their parents. And it was 25 people. It's like, wow, to shop for that many people. And I didn't know them well because we just was newly married. And when we brought all the gifts over, and it took several loads from the car, everybody sat down around the tree and everybody just ripped everything open all at once. So I could not even see what they were getting. I was just so shocked. So now I've established a new tradition that all the gifts I give have a clue on them. And it slows people down a little bit because they have to look at the clue and think about what it is before they're able to open it. So any little thing you could do to add a tradition that can help you also get through some of that anxiety and stress. The holidays take a lot of planning. Even though Thursday's just a couple of days around the corner, we have to really, divvy up our time. So we should have to, when am I going to shop? When am I going to bake? When am I going to set the table? When am I going to have time for family and friends? And always have your menu first, and a very, very specific one before you make up your grocery list. And don't worry about asking other people to help you. If your family or friends are coming for a holiday, ask them to bring something. I know one of the traditions we have in our family is you not only bring it, but you set it up, you take it down and you clean it up. So it's not just here's another, something to put on the table. So it really divides up the work quite a bit too. And some people like to do different things. Some people really enjoy carving that turkey or really enjoy baking that pumpkin pie. So please don't hesitate to ask other people to help, especially with the cleanup. Here's a big one. Yes.
Excuse me.
Okay. Okay. So learn to say no. This is a toughie. So when you say yes, when you really should say no, that's just going to make you angry and resentful. So that's not going to do any good for anyone. So learn to say no, set those limits, set those boundaries. And don't abandon any healthy habits, okay? So a lot of things that people do to help them not eat so much is maybe have a snack or a small meal before you go to another meal. And that way you don't eat so much, even if it is some of the things you really love, like that turkey stuffing. And try to keep it as healthy as you can. You got to make sure that you can get plenty of sleep, and also keep up your routine. Please keep up your physical activities. And if you do feel anxious, try things like meditation or even the deep breathing exercises, the in through the nose and out through the mouth. And of course, try to stay away from alcohol and other drugs. And remember, the information culture can produce undue stress, okay? So you have to really watch out how much time you're spending on social media, and if it's really news or if it's fake news. Take a breather, take a break for yourself. If you have to, go outside. One of the best times to actually do stargazing is in the winter, because that's when we can see the stars and the planets the best. Listen to some soothing music or just sit down and do some nice reading. Anything that will help calm you down, relax, and make time to do that. And if you need professional help, get it. Because if you really feel like you're sad or anxious or you're having some unusual physical complaints or can't sleep or feeling hopeless, talk to your doctor or a mental health professional. So I don't know if any people have any other comments about the holidays, but I'd like to turn next, Warren, into seasonal affective disorder, sometimes called SAD, because this is something that really happens, especially in our culture, especially in our geographic area at this time of year, because it's actually a mood disorder that entails depression, and it comes at the same time of every year. And for ours, of course, the really, really bad months are December, January, and February, because that's when we have the least amount of sunshine. And we certainly need that sun. We need that vitamin D. So we're getting really close to the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, meaning the shortest daylight of the year. And that does impact how we think and how we feel. So again, wherever there's less sunlight at certain times. So in the Midwest, of course, it's going to be certainly here, December, January, and February, especially. So what are their symptoms? It's not just depression, but a lot of people are just exhausted. They have no get up and go. They have feelings of hopelessness, and they tend to push everybody else away. Now, there is really good treatment out there, not only the talk therapy, but also some people use a light therapy, which you can see in that picture on the slide. So there are light therapy instruments that you can buy that help give you back that vitamin D that your body and soul is just craving because of the lack of sunshine and the lack of activity. So these are a good checklist of symptoms, and think about it not only for yourself, but what about your family and your friends and your neighbors? And if you're in a helping profession, what about in your clients? Are you starting to see people feel kind of listless or down? And it's happening just about every single day. And they're not doing things that they used to do that were really fun. No energy, no get up and go. Some people are just sleeping too much. And that's when we really do also crave those carbs, right? The feel good foods that make us feel full. But then, of course, there's weight gain because we're also less, busy. We're less engaged in other activities. People that have seasonal affective disorder have difficulty concentrating. And again, they feel helpless, worthless, or even guilty about something that for you might not even make sense. And of course, the worst case scenario is the thoughts of not even wanting to live. So I really want to make sure that you're not only watching out for these kinds of symptoms for yourself, but also for your family, friends, and neighbors. So their seasonal affective disorder can start in the fall. Technically, we're still in the fall now. And of course, those days are getting shorter and shorter. So people are oversleeping. And of course, the time changes really kind of helped people get dysregulated. Again, appetite changes, especially craving those carbs, which results in people gaining weight because they're certainly not getting the exercise and the energy that they used to have, and just overall just feeling tired. Now, people that have a mental illness are at much higher risk for seasonal affective disorder, especially people with bipolar disorder, because some of them, mania could be linked to a specific season. There are many people that describe mania as coming on when there's more sunshine and more going on and more outside and more outside activities. So all of those can spur on the mania. But also people that have bipolar disorder can tell you that they feel much more down, depressed, or sad during the fall and winter months. So it's very, very important to watch out for any signs of people taking their own lives. Is Path Warm is just an acronym. Do they have thoughts? Are they using substances? Do they feel purposeless, anxious, trapped, hopeless, withdrawal, anger, recklessness, and they have mood changes? Now, I put this up here and on the presentation because I do want to give a little bit of a commercial here for 988. And hopefully all of you have heard about the new suicide and crisis hotline. So this is now a national law that was passed that went into effect in the middle of July this year, that instead of having people learn or memorize this long 1-800 number, simply remember a 3-digit number, and 988 calls will go to crisis workers throughout the entire country. 988 will get you help from people who are trained in crisis intervention. The hotline that has been in effect for many, many years has shown that 90% of the time, people's crisis can be solved over the telephone. It's only 10% of the time that people actually need somebody to come out and meet them wherever they are. Well, we know that this thing has really gone viral because once the word was out, we know that within the first 30 days of using 988, the calls went up 30%. By the 1st of October, they had gone up 80%. So Illinois had 5 crisis line locations, and now is opening a 6th, because the number of calls we know are just going to go up. So please make sure that the people that you love and that you work with and that you see and that you know the number 988. It's so very important. The other brief commercial I want to do here too, as we talk about crisis and managing crisis, is CESA. This is an Illinois state law that is the Community Emergency Services and Supports Act. It was supposed to go into effect July 1st, but our state wasn't ready. There were many things that had to be done, because now this is going to be the way to respond to a mental health crisis. It does not involve any police or law enforcement, and it's asking all of the emergency management systems, meaning our 911 call center, to coordinate a mobile mental and behavioral health service through its 911 provider. So for example, in Rockford, our Rockford Fire Department manages our 911 provider, but it really is a whole region, because it's not just the city of Rockford, it entails Rockford and Winnebago County. So what happens is we have to have services available wherever the region provides ambulance services. So if an ambulance can get there, people have to get there. There's even a part in the law that says somebody needs to respond to you within 45 minutes or less. So there was a lot of organizing that has to go on, because the police are not able to and not allowed to go out to respond to a psychiatric crisis unless the person in crisis is committing a crime. Because if police do go out, then they're the ones committing the crime. So this is a really big, important thing that's going to go on. So if people try the 988 number and they're not getting the help and the support they need, the 988 staff will contact our 911, and our 911 has to dispatch mental health professionals, preferably with a person with lived experience. Now, Warren stole a little of this from me from the beginning, but I just want to talk about where can you get help, or where can you get help for a family or a friend. Obviously, NAMI Northern Illinois. We have some educational programs that are terrific. Family to Family, which is like a mental illness 101. NAMI Basics is for caregivers of young children. In Our Own Voice is a program where people with mental illness talk about their own stories of recovery. And what we're doing right now, we have our own webinars and Zoom, and we're starting to do more things in person as well. We have many support groups, as Warren mentioned. We have support groups for family members. We have support groups for people with mental illness, and we have Group Hope, which now a support group for teenagers. NAMI is out there with doing their advocacy. NAMI was very strong supporter in getting the 988 number started on a national basis, and supported the CESA law that goes into effect January 1st. And then, of course, what Warren said, if you have any questions about what we can offer, please go to our website, and you can also friend us on Facebook. So what I'd like to do next is to open this up, and you could use the Q&A about what are some tricks that you have that you'd like to share that help you get through the holidays yourself. So if you have some special things, like I shared a couple of mine, I use clues on the gifts so they have to slow down their opening. I do my shopping throughout the whole year. I don't do it the last week or two of December. I make sure people all bring something to a party that I have that makes them feel like they're part of the party. But what are some other things that you folks might have that are helpful? And Warren, if you could take a look at those in the Q&A, that would be great.
Great. And as a matter of fact, I have a raised hand here from Tricia Gilbert, and I have a button here that says allow to talk. So this is a first for me, my first webinar. I'm going to see if I push that button, if Tricia can ask her question.
Sure.
She has.
There
Tricia,
she is.
Good. Tricia, if you unmute.
Yeah, she has to unmute herself, and then we can hear her question.
Mm-hmm. It was up a long time ago, so I hope she remembers. Well, in the meantime, in case she stepped away, because it has been a while, there were, it says, I accidentally hit the button a few times. Tricia, do you want to try and talk? If you do, you can move down to the bottom of your screen and click unmute.
Or else, Warren, you could unmute everyone if people want to start chiming in and sharing their ideas.
Well, it says ask her to unmute. That's one thing they don't.
Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
Okay,
Yes, we can, Tricia. What's,
Yes, we
You can. Okay, I just wanted to, I know these are all great things, all ideas of things that we can do. I just wanted to like kind of throw out what I personally do, and it just works for me personally
great.
to really take a step back of what family members I personally feel comfortable around during the holidays and which ones I don't. And then I just make that my personal boundary for right now, you know, until I feel personally okay to leave a party or an event and feel okay about it. And then in turn, when the next one comes up, then I'll be more aware, I guess. So, and then in doing so would be hopefully to be like, I guess, a model for my client, if you will.
Terrific. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
If anybody else would either like to raise their hand or put something in the Q&A, a good suggestion or something that you've tried that works for you.
well, I have a couple here. From Amy Foster, talking about the white elephant gifts. Says we do a white elephant gift exchange with my adult Sunday school class. Because not everything is horrible. We end up laughing until it hurts. And also, it says it's easier for us not to do a big thing with being 2,000 miles away from her family. We treat it almost like a regular day with maybe something special.
Great ideas.
Mhm. Now from Erin Raban, she says, for veterans and youth ages 9 to 19, Circle of Change has a dog training class. You don't own a dog, no problem. We have dogs you can practice on.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
cool.
They
Yeah.
can turn that right into pet therapy.
Mhm. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can. All right. Also, if anyone else would like to raise their hand, I can allow you to talk. Also, we have a question here from Carol Starr. She says, working with mental health issues and addiction issues, what are ways to keep positive feelings?
Working with mental health issues, what are ways to keep positive feelings?
Mhm. Especially when you're dealing with addiction.
Mhm. I think one of the most important things to do, especially at the holidays, is as much as we can surround ourselves with people who respect us, who accept us, and who love us. And I know that could be tough if you have what we call an obligation, but sometimes, as Tricia was shared, sometimes the obligations can't be seen or maybe need to be cut short and left early. But for our own mental health, we need to be with people who respect us and accept us and love us.
Okay, and I see Carol has her hand raised. I'm gonna push the button to allow her to talk. Okay, Carol, if you hit unmute, go ahead. Carol, go ahead. Ooh, you're unmuted, but I still can't hear you. Were you able to see try unmute one more time because now it's muted.
There
Now,
we go. Okay, Carol, so what was your idea you wanted to share?
we may be having some technical difficulty. Go ahead, Carol. Well, why don't we come back to you? I'm going to go ahead and let's see. We have Amy has her hand raised. I'm going to push the button for her. Go
Hello.
ahead, Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
I So for me, nature's a really big part of my self-care. Um, so I try to spend as much time outside as possible, even in the cold weather. One of my favorite things to do is take a moonlight walk after a fresh snow. It is amazing to do that. I'm actually outside right now. So that's one of the things that helps me throughout the season. Um, if I can't get outside because of my disability, I have a rocking right next to my bedroom window and I can open it there. I have a bird feeder right there on my window. My cats really love it. So that's kind of how I take care of myself during the holidays.
Those are great ideas, Amy. And we think like we have to stay holed up in the house because of it's winter, and that is so not true, because there's some beautiful things to enjoy. Walking out in a beautiful, in beautiful snowy day, or right after the snow, you said, or even a beautiful day like today, where here it is. It's the third week of November, and it's beautiful and sunny out, and we really do need and crave that vitamin D.
Oh yeah, just sitting right now.
And I saw that Donna Addison put radical acceptance in the Q&A. And I'm wondering if Donna could come on and tell us a good definition of that, because that's one of the skills that she teaches, is radical acceptance. I'll put her on the spot here.
I gave her permission.
Okay, here I am.
Here you are. So tell us about radical acceptance, Donna.
I think it's probably the skill I use the most in life, as well as at the holidays. And it's more of a, it is what it is. So, things don't go as exactly planned. You know what? It's okay. It is what it is. And when things just go really not okay, kind of stepping back, taking that deep breath and saying, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to be okay. Still breathing. I'm going to keep plugging along. So it's just that totally radically accepting what's going on around you.
So important 365 days out of the year, but got to really use it a lot during the holiday seasons. Thank you.
I hope people are being radically accepting of my technical skills here. I'm doing the best I can. And that's
Okay, we have
probably
some
fine.
good things in the Q&A too, Warren. I was just taking a look at.
Okay.
Meredith was saying, while visiting family for several days, I make sure to take time away from others to decompress. So even if you're staying with your relatives, get out and take a walk, right? That helps you get out of the situation and give you some good time to think. Emily is suggesting one thing that she does is for herself and her clients is to keep positive motivational sayings around the office. And that sounds like a terrific idea, because the clients love looking around and reading them. And plus it makes it a nice, safe and inviting space. So thank you for sharing those.
Very good.
Anything else anybody likes to share?
Well, I did see that there's going to be a terrific light exhibit down at the greenhouse downtown. I'm sorry, it's called the Observatory.
Yeah, so Nicholas Observatory, or Nicholas Conservatory.
Conservatory, that's what I was trying to think of, yes. And bigger and better than ever before. And it's really beautiful downtown by the walking path. So
There are many places to go take a beautiful walk right at this time of year.
Yeah, we've got a break on the weather. I think that's one thing that was a little difficult last week, was that really cold snap that we had. But we got a break with the weather, and so we take advantage of it. All right, now I see an answer here from Carol. It looks like she may be back. Carol, did you want to say anything right now? I know we had a little difficulty of seeing things, but let's see. And I would check one more time to see if Tricia is there. All right, I see you put your contact information there.
Yes.
Mary.
And Warren, what I'll do is I'm going to send you a copy of the PowerPoint, and then if you could email it to everybody who attended today, it maybe is something that they could share with some other folks too. Since again, the holidays are right around the corner.
That's right. And this is being recorded, and like all of our lunch and learns, we will have that available on the NAMI Northern Illinois website for those who weren't able to participate at this time. Let's see, just one more reminder that coming up next Tuesday, we will have an introduction to the Certified Recovery Support Specialist training class, and that is going to, it's a new program. You mentioned that they're trying to send people with lived experience out on Assessa calls. Well, there's a training program that is basically a year-long training. So it's really good comprehensive training that's completely paid for by the state of Illinois. So a person can be trained. As a matter of fact, I'm enrolled in that program, and the classes can be taken completely on Zoom. So you don't even have to travel to a distant campus. So to be able to do that at no cost is really exciting. And we're going to have Bonnie Gilmore from Rosecrans do that presentation. She's very good at that.
Well, before we wrap things up, I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of their very busy days to be with us this afternoon. Hopefully we have shared a few good ideas with us and things that we can use to get through the holiday season. And happy Thanksgiving to you all. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Thank you, Mary. All right, everyone. Have a great day.